The concept of two minds is easy to understand if you allow yourself to accept the fact that your own perception of reality is limited by the way you interpret it. Actually, your interpretation of reality and your reality is the same thing. Imagine that your mind is blank. You don't know anything. Nothing in the universe makes sense to you. And then the first bit of knowledge comes, and you learn your first shape. It's a square. Now you know how a square looks like, and every time you encounter a square, you can identify it. Square makes sense to you. Now with this knowledge, the reality around you appears to be filled with squares. Squares are the only objects that you can perceive. The space between the squares looks empty. It's because you can't see anything that is not square yet. You lack the knowledge of other shapes. Now let's assume that you obtained that knowledge. Now you know about triangles, circles, and rectangulars. As you look through this slide of knowledge, the universe appears to be much richer than before. You see that places that you used to perceive as empty are indeed filled with other shapes. You can see those shapes now because you have obtained the knowledge about them. However, it is still a very basic universe. It's because so far we talked about simple, two-dimensional slides. Turn around. Take a look at the universe through the multidimensional slides of knowledge. As you can see, it's filled with complicated objects. Their presence is not merely visual. They also possess the qualities of smell, taste, and sound. You can touch them, but the principle remains the same as in the universe of squares. You can see all of this because you know about it. For example, this bush is perceptible only if the observer has a slide for it. It is unspeakably more complicated than the slide for square, but it is still a slide. Technically, the bush exists only on the slide, as the squares exist only on the slide. The main premise of this universe is that the objects are separated from each other. This is a leaf, and this is a branch. But what is this? We can say that it's a part of a leaf and a part of a branch. It doesn't have its own slide of knowledge, so we have to use the ones that are available to us to describe it. It seems that there are gaps between the objects, such as a gap between a branch and a leaf, but actually, gaps exist only between the slides. There is always something in between, just like there always had been other shapes between the squares. The space is always filled. There are no real gaps between things, which means that everything we perceive is just one massive object. There is one quality that we all share as human beings: attachment to our physical bodies. If it's simple to accept the solidity of the universe, it might be challenging to admit that our bodies are also parts of this one undividable thing. The reason why we feel so disconnected from the physical world is because our attention is rigidly focused on our bodies. But it doesn't have to be. If we take our point of attention away from the body, we are able to travel into any location at an instant as long as we can imagine it and keep sharply focused on it. It is possible because the only thing that actually moves is our attention. Think. If the empty space doesn't exist, how come anything actually move? If everything is one, what is there to move? The only thing that moves is the point of attention. Our bodies, thoughts, and dreams are sceneries to which we travel using our focused attention. Before understanding the second mind, we have to state what the first mind is. In short, it is an ever-growing library of slides of knowledge that are connected with each other through associations. Systems of symbols form languages. Languages are mediums of expression and the core of the first mind. Letters, digits, gestures all have meanings that vary in complexity but can join together to form complicated structures. It looks as if nothing exists aside from the slides of knowledge, and the only way to move your point of attention is by following from one slide to another in sequences. This is why, in order to get to some location in the physical universe, we have to move our point of attention along with our physical bodies. The idea that the library of slides is the ultimate and only reality is the mirage. Let's say you need to get to some place, but you're not sure where it is, so you ask somebody who knows. This person gives you directions using languages, and then you move your physical body to that place. The directions given by this person might be misunderstood, not stated clearly, or be completely mistaken. In contrast, the second mind is free from any kind of knowledge. It has no slides, and it requires no symbols to explain itself. If one would use the second mind to give the directions, the perceiver of the message would be simply transmitted to that place. Instead of languages, the second mind operates on edges. There is no way one could misinterpret a message communicated in edges. It directs the attention precisely to the location in time and space, and the perceiver instantly experiences it. To learn more, visit theedgesofthecube.com.